All right, welcome back to Leicester City Down Under. Anil, how you going, mate? All right?
I'm good, Luke. What's going on?
Not bad, mate. I'm glad I missed most of that second half. I'm usually pretty reliable, stuff like that, but just caved was too early for me. But unfortunately, woke up to a equalizer. How did you feel about the game?
I don't know if you've seen Enzo Maresca's pre-match conference for the Baggies game coming up today, but I think he called it like he did. He said that he thought overall he felt it was a draw. You know, performance-wise, it wasn't one of our best. People are human. It's impossible to play the right way all the time, but definitely room for improvement. He did actually specifically call out lack of fluency in the final third and poor decision making. Like, you'll have missed it, but he said, Abdul, referencing Abdul Fattah, was shooting from his own house because he took some shot from like 40 yards out at one point, and he's just like, what are you doing? And he said that it's okay, he's 18, 19, I'll allow it, but these are the things that we need to correct. The game itself, it's a funny one. It started and they had a chance after literally 18 seconds, something like that, which they should have scored from. Not only could have scored from, they literally should have scored from that. They'd feel extremely disappointed that they didn't, and they could have scored again a few minutes later. I then feel after that we got into the game and we did okay with it, and then we got a goal, and it looked like we kind of controlled the game. We never looked brilliant, but let's see, how do I feel? That first half, because we made 6 changes to the previous team, I expected there to be a lack of fluency. So I wasn't that unhappy because I still think it's important that we give players these minutes. Like, if you're going to commit to squad rotation, you do need to give your other players minutes, right? Because otherwise what's going to happen is you'll have over-reliance on certain players and you'll be really, really weak when those players get a key injury. So we need to learn how to play without Harry Winks. We need to learn to play without Keane and Dewsbury, Hall and Wilfred and Ndidi in the team. It is important to get those kind of things. And then, in the second half, it's funny because then when we made the subs and we put KDH and Ndidi on, we really looked levels above where we were. And I thought, okay, now we will comfortably see out this game. And it felt like, if anything, we go to 2-0 and that they wouldn't score. But fair play to them. And I just felt it was just kind of a bit of sloppiness, which I think describes the game as a whole in terms we got it. If we'd have got the 1-0, we would have got... I don't think we would have deserved it because, they had these just clear-cut chances. But I do feel that after those clear-cut chances, they didn't create too much. But look, it's a disappointing result. We've gone away to the bottom team in the league who, really poor form and haven't beaten them. At the same time, that happens in the Championship. And I've said this on maybe to you and others before, but in the Championship, even when you have a result like that, you still got something out of the game. And this division is brutal, as we are now finding out. We were, HMS pissed the league and Enzo in his, steamrolling the league. But the reality is that there have been so many games, it's very difficult to, it's just about consistency. So every time you get a point, it's a point gained. It really is, even if it doesn't feel that way at the time. I remember that the last couple of times that Leicester were in the Championship, because you maybe didn't have to experience this, but there was a time where it felt like we were forever stuck in the Championship. And no matter what we did, and Leicester typically did this thing where they were in a really good position around the turn of the year, and then they would just bottle it. And that infamously was the one where we had Deeney Day. And, that season was really bad because we should have not even got into the playoffs. We're in automatics. Then we dropped out. Then we dropped out of the playoffs completely. And then we got really lucky on the last day of the season against Forest and fluked our way into the playoffs. And fluke being the word. And then we still messed it up. And it was just stupid. And then that finally gave the team the belief. And then we got promoted finally the next season, got 100 points. So, yeah, it was a disappointing one. But hopefully we can bounce back. But I do think that, the reason why, we were just discussing off air, that the mood, even amongst the supporters, has changed so much, is that the occasional one-off poor performance, no one's really going to be too upset about it. But this has been the pattern for quite a while, I would say now. It could even be 6, 7, 8 games. I'm struggling to think of the last time we played a game, and I just thought, yeah, that was absolutely class. That is clearly the best team in the division. We're not playing like that at the moment. Even when we've been getting results like QPR, got a win, but Harry Winks' magic goal to win it kind of thing. We haven't really, for a team that's got an embarrassment of riches, we're not playing like it at the moment. That's just the reality of the situation. Why is that? I think we've been worked out. That's my opinion at the moment. And I think it might need a little bit of tweaking in terms of what we do to get a bit out of it. I don't think the manager will do it. I think the way that he is, he will be stubborn and persist with it, which maybe is okay, but it will be interesting to see if that approach is going to pay off or not. Because just to give like another example, Russell Martin at Southampton, who've been on a really good set of form recently, they started the season and he also had a very specific style that he wanted to play. And, you know, they were losing lots of games because of it, because it was a bit too gung-ho. So then he even said something where he goes, do you know what? I think we're trying to run before we can walk. So I've made some adjustments. And they went a little bit more defensive in certain situations. And now the form is coming in and they're doing good. And I'm not his biggest fan, but I will say that anyone still deserves credit that he's realized that you do know sometimes, you know, need to kind of tweak it and stuff like that. And I think criticisms I see of this current Leicester team is that people say the way that Enzo wants to play football, we haven't quite got the players for it. I'm not going to say if that is or isn't the case, but I think you could make that argument. And yeah, look, I've been saying, to be honest with you, I'd go as far as saying this all season. I don't think we create enough chances. That's my honest opinion with the way that we play. Like, to be fair, I don't think we concede that many chances. Even Sheffield Wednesday with their squad and all that, most of the chances we give up are mistakes that we make. It's not that the other team cuts us apart. So that's okay. But at the same time, you know, like just to put it into context, a very popular system is 4-3-3 with one single pivot, 2 attacking eights. You know, you try and do it that way, which is kind of how Leeds play, how Sunderland play. And you just think, if Leicester did that with the quality and the squad that we've got, you know, would we have more points? Would we have more goals? Difficult to say, but I strongly suspect we would do. What I get it is that, like, if we play this system, you know, maybe when we get to the Premier League, it'll be better because we're better at playing this kind of style. It remains to be seen, but we need to get there first. And, you know, the worry is whereas, let's say a month ago, it was looking like it was a formality, now we're looking down a little bit. And it's the worst possible time to come into bad form, I would say, because this is where like the games come thick and fast and things can change quite quickly. So yeah, that sounds a bit negative from me, but unfortunately that is how we're feeling. What I will say is today's game is a massive opportunity because the Baggies are absolutely flying. They're playing some great stuff. If we go away from home and we beat them and it's a good performance, you know, that could all of a sudden, you know, really get us going again. So great opportunity to do that. Like sometimes that's the best possible thing when we had a bad result is actually to have a really difficult game to try and kind of turn it around. And I still think that Leicester, any game that we play this season in the Championship, we're always the favourites just because the squad is so much more expensive than anyone else. And that remains the case today, even if we're in not the best form. But yeah, I'll be very interested in watching this game and a bit nervous. And I don't know, if I was to look at the form, I would say the form suggests that we will not win today. But I would like to be wrong.
I hope so, mate. They are top of the table in terms of form. And going on to what you're saying, like we talked about this before the game. We wanted to see heavy rotation. We both thought, with all due respect, Sheffield Wednesday would be the team to see it. And if we're having problems with squad rotation, you know, against the bottom of the table, everyone starts to panic a little bit and worry. And I can understand that. And I know we drew, we didn't lose, but everyone felt like we lost, being respective of positions of our where we were on the table. But I don't know, like in terms of like I agree with you, we don't create enough chances sometimes. And when like I've seen a dip in form, I believe for me personally, since the Sunderland game, yes, I know we won that game, but I feel like, and the QPR as well, I feel like since those 2 games onwards, there's been a bit of a downtrend, whether it's been figured out or not. I think so to a degree. I also still think there's a bit of a gelling in period, even though we had such a good start under Enzo. It is a new manager. It is a lot of new players, but it can be quite slow sometimes when people don't like sit deep and invite us to attack them and let us dominate the possession, which we normally do anyway. And then people say, oh, we're wearing teams out and stuff like that. But when they don't sit and play so negatively and like just invite us to attack them and give us that time on the ball, where we develop that confidence as well as, you know, tire them out and start getting goals after the 70-minute mark late like we normally do. When they press us aggressively, when we're trying to play it from the back, that's when you start to see those mistakes. And going to what you were saying earlier, we haven't conceded a lot. We haven't conceded more than a goal in a game. I'm looking at it here. I think so. We've scored 32 and we've conceded 11. So it's pretty decent. But I definitely would like to see a lot more, you know, fast passing. You know, we're building up the pitch. I think it can be quite slow when we get to arrive at our final third, and that's when it starts getting a little frustrating.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a worry because the team that we play today are known for playing quite high press, and they could be well suited to us. So and they're at home and they're in good form, so they're going to go for it probably quite early on. Yeah, you're right, and also like there is a stylistic choice in doing that. So the thing is that like playing the slow, patient build up, that can definitely work. It's been done by some top teams, but the thing is that like at the same time, sometimes our best attacking play is when we actually take more risks and we do start pumping into the box a bit more and trying to win the second ball, or it falling away or sustaining the attack and so on and so forth. And the thing is that yes, you can wait and tire teams out and then beat them in the last 30, but you could also say that we could play away where we score a goal early on, right? And then they have to attack us, and then all the space is opened up, and you've got super fast players like Mavadidi and Patawu there to just pick them off on the break. So we could easily play that style too. And so that's why you got to question if the style that we're doing really is as effective as it could be. It remains to be seen in terms of doing it. Like I say, when I see the way that we play, there's a lot of hallmarks of De Zerbi at Brighton, and they at their best look fantastic. They're a great team to watch. Sometimes when you see the moves and stuff they do, you're like, wow, that is so cool. That would be a really thrilling team to watch. And so who knows if we can get to that stage, because that didn't just happen overnight, by the way. Even though De Zerbi, it happened quite quickly when he got there. People forget that Graham Potter spent probably 3 seasons setting up that team like that and buying all these players that were comfortable on the ball and good at playing out from the back and knocking it around and so on and so forth. So it didn't take that much work for him to do. So maybe we could get there. That, I guess, is the thing. But yeah, you got to do that kind of balance. We'll have to kind of see. Yeah, I mean, because I wonder how long he sticks with it before he, if we keep having problems, will he actually make any adjustments and all that? I suspect, look, as long as we keep with our current at the top of the table and picking up points and being okay, then he won't change his style. And that I don't mind, because then it could work for the next season, whatever like that. But I think the other thing that I've seen a lot of people say is that they just have reservations that the style will ever truly work. Like, even if we get to the Premier League, like the chances that we give up in this division, you get away with it, but you will not get away with it in the top flight. And that's why all the promoted teams are struggling really badly this season in the Premier League. It's just because it's just like the golfing class is just ridiculous. Like, yeah, that chance that Sheffield Wednesday missed after 20 seconds is unforgivable, really. Like, I didn't even get it on target. Ridiculous. He's got all the time in the world. He wasn't rushed into it either, so that in the Premier League is absolutely going in every day of the week. So yeah, we'll have to see that. Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see us move it forward a bit more quicker, and yeah, just put the other team under pressure a little bit more. I do feel that we do that in the games. Let's maybe be a bit more positive then on things as well. I think that's always important to give some balance. Like, sure. Yeah, to be fair, I listened to his press conference. If you haven't, it's worth doing it. It's only like 6 minutes long. But what I do like about Enzo is that I feel he doesn't kind of like convince himself that he's seen something that other people haven't. I really hate it when like a team loses and you clearly got battered and they're like, oh, I think we did really well and we're just unlucky in this phase of play. And you're like, come on, bro. He's literally said that like that performance wasn't good. We made some bad decisions. They definitely deserve to draw. Like he did say, he goes that of the games that we lost, I don't think we deserve to lose to Hull. I don't think we deserve to lose to Middlesbrough. Leeds, we did deserve to lose to. Wednesday, a draw was a fair result. That's what he said. So I like that he said that. I like that he said that like we needed to change and that made some kind of drop in fluency, but I have to change the players. There's too many games. Like, just so you know, because, West Brom have had an additional 24 hours to recover for today's game. Right. And that could make a difference if they're going to play like the high pressing game. So actually, I feel like resting Ndidi and KDH, who I guarantee will start today, I think is the right decision. And that could, prove to be quite a good thing. So, yeah, I think that is something to be positive. Like, I feel it's not like, he said as well, there are many, many things that we can improve, as I've said all the time. So I think those things do make me happy, though, because if he's saying that, then as I said, if I'm being totally honest, at the start of the season, after 18 games, did I think Leicester City would be top? No, I didn't. In fact, to be totally honest with you, I thought we'd be probably where Leeds or Southampton are right now. So I probably thought we'd be like third, fourth, fifth. But looking good, and you knew that it could come, and still a lot of people saying, watch out for Leicester because they're starting to turn it on a little bit. The funny thing is we're like turning it off. That's maybe the problem. But yeah, look, we're top. So I think in that regard, you've got to be happy, and we can obviously still improve ourselves. It's not like we can get worse. I think, it's funny. We talk about the transfers a lot, and I've said to you, no, I don't really see us doing any business. Now I'll actually completely disagree. I think we will 100% will do business. And I think we'll do the business mainly because, having seen a slight drop in form, the club themselves will be like, we make 1 or 2 signings to guarantee us getting over the line and it's worth it. So we'll do it. And yeah, so I expect to see, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's like a 10 million signing again or something like that. There's rumors that Man City are going to get Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors and loan him to us, for example, like that.
I
Could
know,
definitely see something like that. Yeah, why not? I mean, we need another left footer because Callum Doyle's out probably for a long time. So why not put someone in? He looks really good as well. But if it's not him, I think there'll be somebody. And yeah, to be honest with you, it feels like we do need maybe a little bit more, oomph in there or something just to help us out. But yeah, like I say, so I think the manager recognizes it and he does deserve time to kind of get it right. You would expect to be there seeing ups and downs. We'll see how it goes. I think for me, though, my bigger concern more is just that, like, if I can see the way that the fans are kind of responding to this manager is quite mixed. That's the interesting thing. And what I mean by that is sometimes certain styles of football don't work with certain fan bases. So Spurs, for example, they tried to experiment with Mourinho and Conte, who were serial winners but play a counter-attacking style. It was never going to work for that team. They went back to Ange Postecoglou, and even though they might actually finish in the same position that they did last season, this season, you can tell already that they love him. They're like,
that's
yeah,
because Matters is playing
for sure. But
yeah.
he's not our player anymore, so we just have to be upset. But my point is that they play attacking football that's good to watch, and they have a go, and that's what that club's all about. And I guess what I'm saying is, I can tell you that most fans at the King Power, they despise sideways football. They just hate it. They hate it. They would rather get beat 2-0 but be seen to having a go. And their point is they just don't like that slow build up. They really don't like it. And I have to say, even for example, that Watford game, it's funny, that Watford game, we actually had a really high XG in the end of it. But in the first half, I mean, it was really hard to watch. It's one of the few games where I noticed I was looking at my phone more than I was looking at the game because nothing was happening. It was boring, right? And, why do we like football? I mean, lots of reasons, but for me, mainly it's entertainment, isn't it? It's a hobby. So when you watch a game, you want to see like a good game kind of thing. And if you do, then it's a lot of fun. So that just worries me a bit because if that's his style and the style's never going to gel with the fan base, then it's always going to end one way. That's kind of my point. Whereas other managers, like, just to put it out there, Nigel Pearson, sometimes his football wasn't the greatest, but I think that, yeah, it's they played quite a physical, direct style, and that people like that. They like that kind of like get into them, have a go kind of thing. And he did have flair players as well. He had like Mahrez, he had Knockaert before that as well, who fans loved because it was a little bit of like, the X Factor type thing and allowing people to have that like maverick on the pitch too. So we'll see. At the same time, football is an ever evolving sport. And, the way that you play changes a lot and it's important to it. And you definitely, if I had to describe it, we're in the control meta where the best teams in the world right now, they seem to be more about like overall limiting what the opponent can do and then giving yourself chances to do it. Like Man City play that way. Bayern Munich play that way with Tommy Tuchel. And they're easily the 2 best teams in Europe right now. Real Madrid are looking good, but they play quite a different style, which is kind of interesting. But theirs is always based around kind of individual quality. That won't be the case forever. Of course, at some point, another style will take over, and it'll be interesting to see what that is. Maybe it is the De Zerbi being able to, like, pass through the gaps and stuff. And to be fair, we're trying that, but I'm rambling now anyway. So
no, mate, no, I
Yeah.
a lot to get into. So no, you're 100% like in terms of where you first started off with being positive. Again, I missed bits and pieces of the second half. First half, I fully agree. It was one of my notes. I thought, and I've always rated Eunice. I thought, for talking positive, I thought first half, Eunice had a really great first half of the game. His ball distribution is a lot more better. He picks out passes a lot better than Keenan Dewsbury Hall, and he was on the other side that Keenan Dewsbury Hall, and then Cassidy played on the other side as well, which was woeful, but I'm not going to get into that. But I do think I've always thought we're going to strengthen in January, particularly if we're going to have money if we sell Kelechi and Ndidi, and I'm still sold that we're going to sell them. I think we can definitely get some money for Ndidi, and I think that if there is interest, and I think for Kel, take what
But
you can get if he's not
why
going to
would they
re-sign.
sell? I mean, they can sign a
Why?
contract now. They're only 6 months out of their contract. They're already allowed to talk to people from January. That's the issue.
That's the thing. I know exactly. I agree. But like, if there is an opportunity to, I would. Like, we can't keep letting people go out for free. It depends. I would like to hope that they'll do the right thing, like Maguire did, and like sign a new contract and then go. But for Kel, for me personally, I've seen him pull out of a lot of challenges. He's been quite frustrating. You mentioned the other day on Neil's stream, he's in his physical prime right now. We thought he was going to absolutely dominate this league, and he's always been a frustrating player to watch. But for me, I think he looks a little disinterested. I could be wrong. I think he is going to start today, and I'll get my starting 11 up in a minute. But like, I don't know.
I think he's always been like that. I think that's
he
just
always,
yeah. I don't know. I think Kel's a good lad. I mean, maybe, but I don't think he would really. He seems, despite his appearance, to be quite professional and liking Leicester. Like, don't forget that after we got relegated, he was the only player that came out and spoke to the press, right? Not the
that's
captain.
True.
All the other players left. He didn't have to do that, and he did, and he showed some remorse in his speech. Yeah, unfortunately, I would say that. Yeah, this season probably just proves, unfortunately, it's a summary of him. Is that like he's just a very inconsistent player, and you at first you might think, oh, it could be good for him. Actually, he could get like this kind of streak where he's just clearly dominant and better. But the way that he plays is just he's like that, you know. And this is just a bit unfortunate for him because when he first broke through for Man City, a lot of people thought, wow, this guy is going to be a world superstar kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting how it hasn't quite worked out for him, even though he's still a decent player. I've said this multiple times, but it's inevitable that next season, I feel, especially if we're in the Premier League, we will sign a big money striker, a new one, because I don't think any of the strikers we've got, we haven't seen Tom Cannon play. Maybe he can do it, but I doubt it. I think what you need to be able to do in this style of football is quite different. You've got to be way more than a finisher, right? It's got your positioning, your link up, your play, your moving between the gaps. Plus, you've got to be able to finish as well, hold up the ball. You've got to be quite a technical striker. And that's why with Iheanacho, it's funny because he is quite good at the link up, but his first touch sometimes is really clumsy. That's what kind of gives it up. And it doesn't press enough either, I would say either. That's probably the bigger frustration in the system. And that's never really been his game either. So there you go. Could well be, yeah.
I'll come up with the starting 11 now and just quickly say, I agree. I think his link up play is brilliant. That's one of his best things. And he's always dropped deep, but this season even more so. Like one point I've seen him taking a ball out from Mads, and that's another player, to be honest, who I think's been a little off the last 3 games, but I'm going to quit moaning. Last thing before I pull the final starting 11 up is I wanted to go into what you said about Enzo. I agree. He's very honest compared to Rodgers. Rodgers was a dickhead who would just throw people under the bus and just like it's everyone else's fault but him and throw his toys out the pram. But he's extremely honest, and I like that about Enzo, but almost to a detriment at some point. He'll just come out straight out and just give his game plan away, like which I kind of like as well. It's pretty ballsy, bro. Like come out but this here, I think we are going to go. It's not come up. Can you see that?
I cannot, unfortunately.
Sorry.
No. Here we go.
Okay. So I think we're going to go strong today. I think the formation's a little off, but this is kind of what it looks like. They always put us down as a 4-3-3, but we know Ricardo's always going to drop into the midfield. So I think FaZe is injured, and I reckon we talked about this the other day, but I reckon the reason why FaZe was on the left-hand side against Sheffield Wednesday is he's the only one out of these 3 that has pace if JJ's not playing.
Correct.
So Cody's never going to get the middle position. We know that Vestergaard's earned that now of his ball distribution. So Cody's going to be in that right-hand side. And also Ricardo pushing in midfield. Harry Winks will start. I reckon Keenan Dewsbury Hall, I think, starts as well as Ndidi. The only asterisk I have is possibly Fatawu instead of McAteer. But Fatawu started. So I think it's kind of a like-for-like thing with them and the strikers. So McAteer on the right. Mavadidi's got his spot pretty much on lockdown. And then I think we're going to go with Kelechi tonight. But I am surprised he didn't get subbed on.
Well, maybe for that reason he's been saved for this one, but plus it was his old ground, the old team body. He maybe wanted to like really give him a goal there that he probably wanted. Yeah, do you know what? That is 100%. I would agree. That's exactly what I think the team will be as well, unless there's some last minute knocks or injuries or something like that. That is probably also our strongest team, and we should probably start that. As you say, yeah, McAteer or Fatawu, but it's funny when you look at the two. I think that McAteer's off the ball work is exemplary. It's some of the best in the entire team, actually. So I think he's a good one actually to start with, especially when you're going to have like a high press. And then that actually, in some ways, that does Fatawu's work for him. That then when he comes on at 55, 60, because McAteer's like been, pressing the crap out of the other player, he's got a nice tired player to beat all hands up. So I think it's going to be exactly that. And that's probably the team that I would pick too.
Well,
It's a good job.
sir. Thank you, sir. I actually think McAteer is very underrated, going by what you were just saying as well. And I actually think that he suits playing alongside Ndidi a lot more than Fatawu does. And I really like Fatawu, but I think they complement each other. The work that they do on and off the ball. And I think that's part of the reason why we had a lot of success to begin with until McAteer got injured.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, like I said, because it's he's one of the players that I see he turns over the ball high up the pitch a lot, McAteer. He does a lot of selfless work as well. You can tell there's sort of no ego or anything like that. I don't think Fatawu's bad at any of this. It's just he's got to learn a bit more of the system, a bit more maverick and stuff like that. But Fatawu still, though, seems like the much more dangerous player, I feel like. You can tell he terrifies players and things like that. But I think it always depends on who you place. If we think that this is a team that we know is going to be high press in confident form, plays football, I actually think a player like McAteer is a bit more useful there because you need someone who's a bit willing to like do the difficult stuff. I think if you're playing against a team who's got a deep block, I'd rather have Fatawu in than McAteer because his ability to beat a man the QPR game is the one that brings to mind where they just couldn't handle him and they got a man sent off because of it. And I'm just not surprised because I would hate to play against someone like Patel who you just know is going to make you look like an idiot and there's nothing you can really do about it. And it just feels like life is unfair when someone's got that much talent and you don't. But this is not that type of game, I thought. But yeah, if he doesn't go that way, it wouldn't be too controversial either. But look, McAteer, the reason why he's underrated is because he's not like a big name. And before this season, no one knew anything about him other than he had some fairly uninspired loan spells out in lower divisions. He was certainly not really thought of as being like the next big thing to come out of the academy. That's why they always talk about Will Alves and Sammy Braybrook. They're the ones that people think are going to make it. I actually think it's quite a nice turn up that we've had like an unexpected success in Casey McAteer. And it's unfortunate he got that injury when he did, but if he gets back to form, it'll be great. And, I wish the best for him. He seems like a really nice lad, Leicester fan, as he's come from our academy. Yeah.
We didn't expect him to come at all, did we? Where was he? Was he at Wimbledon or something? I'm pretty sure. It was in like League Two, I think. McAteer.
I thought it was Macclesfield, but let's have a look.
Have a quick gander. Yeah. We'll wrap it up here shortly. I know you got to get going soon, but we've got the starting 11 coming up. If you want to have a quick gander at that, I'll share it on screen. It should come out in about a minute, and then we can get going, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it says here that Casey McAteer, he spent last season on loan at Wimbledon, 18 appearances, 1 goal. So before this season, he had played 27 games and only scored once. And this season, he's got 4 goals already and 5 goals already in his appearances. So that's very impressive. That, like I say, you just wouldn't have thought it'd come from nowhere. And that is what's happened. So very nice for him.
And I wonder how much of that is Enzo's coaching. But just last thing, Neil, before I pull this 11 up on screen, do you think that Tom Cannon gets any minutes today?
I actually don't think he'll get it today. No, I thought he would get them in Wednesday, but because we weren't like comfortably ahead, he didn't. No, I don't think he'll get it today because I think it's going to be a tough game, unless someone gets like badly injured and you have to like both strikers get injured or something like that. Then you'd be forced to play him, but I don't think he'll play. No.
Okay. At some point, I wonder when he has to feature soon, surely. like you said, I don't want to just wait until the Kel goes and Daka goes, but I don't think Daka's ever going to play.
Maybe he will. I mean, just so you know, like when he was asked that question in a previous press conference, and he's like, "Yeah, Tom, he's good. But he just needs to keep working." That's what he said. And then, that when you're playing system football, I get it. He'll be looking at him every day, and he'll be like, "Okay, what positions are you taking up? What are you doing?" Because the thing is when you're playing a system like the one that we do, if you're standing in the wrong places, the whole thing falls apart, and you can't afford to do that. So that's why. That's why even, for example, say Daka, when he comes on, quite often comes on as the wing rather than the striker. I feel it's like a similar sort of approach. It's like if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to and you don't have confidence in that, you won't play the player there until they've fully got the system.
Well, what's strange is that Dean Smith played him on the wing as well for a little bit, if you remember.
I'm not that surprised at all, to be honest with you, because Daka's asset is that he's fast and he can shoot. But what he's not good is he's not good with his back to the, to goal.
Yeah,
he's not good at linking up play. So that's the obvious reasons why they do it that way. And so, the thing is that when multiple people start doing things like that, I think it's quite telling of players, actually. That's same as like how, like, even under Dean Smith, for example, some other players like Christensen, Harry Suter, Tete weren't getting into the team either. And it's like, one person could have a problem with you. When multiple people have a problem with you, it's a bit different. Obviously, I think the biggest thing that I think we all hold against Brendan Rodgers is he didn't play Kaglar Soyuncu, who every time he came into the team last season was probably our best defender. And that was kind of criminal, I would say, because I think if we'd have had him earlier on, we would have probably done. Okay, here we go. It's out now. You can check it out.
I've got it. I just can't share it. Have you got it? You got it? I think I've actually got it.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to be. You can. I give you permission to have smug face, is what I would say.
Okay, I can't get it to share right now. I'm having laptop issues, but it's exactly on the money. I've got it all right. Yeah. On the subs, we've got Stolarczyk expected. We've got Cody, Suter, Chowdhury, Cassidy, Yunus, Fatau, Cannon, Vardy. So,
actually, so you are wrong on one. He's gone for Fass over Cody.
Oh no, sorry, I've skipped that. Okay, so he's obviously pulled up Roll. Well, there we go, close, but no Pratt on the bench again though.
That is interesting. That says a lot because if he's come back from injury, mainly because Cassidy's been quite poor. Eunice, like I say, I feel a bit harsh for him that he hasn't been given more minutes, but probably during AFCON he'll start getting them with him. But we can wrap up with that. But that's, to be honest with you though, if you had to choose between Cody and Fass in terms of they're 100% fit, I would choose Fass this season based on what I've seen. I think Cody still looks a bit shaky, mainly because he hasn't had the minutes. So I think for the biggest game, this is the most informed team in the league. Yeah, you play your strongest team, and this is the strongest team, I think.
It is. He's got a mistake in it fast, but he's got a lot more pace about him, and it suits coming at the back. And I think Cody's confidence is shock. He came in thinking he was potentially going to be captain, traveling the team. Feel kind of sorry for him, but that's football for you.
That's
Anil,
football.
Thank you for coming on, brother. I really appreciate it. I'll no doubt talk to you during the game. Score prediction before you go?
I think it'll be a draw, 1-1.
Hey, kill my vibe, bro. I'm going to go for 2-1. Okay. I like it. Being modest. Have a good one, brother. Enjoy the game. Hopefully we'll be positive after this.
Yeah, bye-bye. Bye.